What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today I'm here to talk to you about tar. Basically Viscous tar and the regular tar trap, and a little bit about the history of mechanics in Orcs Must Die Unchained, because that's something that I haven't gotten to talk about a lot, and I want to, as well as you guys sort of asked for this with a poll that I put up, but y'all probably toss in right here. Boom. But basically, slows are crowd control, and these traps offer that to every hero in the game. So for anybody that doesn't have built-in crowd control, you got a trap for it. For anybody that has built-in crowd control, you got a trap that makes it better. So here's why. Slows have existed in Orcs Must Die Unchained for quite some time. So have stuns. Tar trap goes all the way back to the very first Orcs Must Die game, and it actually has a lot of very interesting properties. First, there's a finite amount of space on the map and in the game. That should make sense. You have to move through it. It isn't infinite. It has to be finite, limited amount of space. No matter how you set up your path from the spawn gates to the rift, there's a specific amount of space available there. So it can't become infinite. So if you want more space, what do? How do you make your rift safer? Well, you add some crowd control. Crowd control comes in the form of slows, stuns, freezes, and the like, and this trap is a slow. So by slowing enemies down, the percentage of speed lost is effectively the increase in the length of the path to the rift. So of course, if you can make enemies take longer, that gives you more time to deal with them. That gives you more time for your traps to reset. And because they are in any trap's effective area for a greater period of time, it is more likely that more enemies will be hit, especially because you actually aren't stretching the area, you're just condensing the enemies and making them move slower. The amount of enemies that are within a trap's triggering area or damage volume is the same. Or I'm sorry, not the same, increased. There we go. So where you could normally hit 3 enemies before, because you now have about 5 or 6 enemies in the same space, you are now hitting all of those enemies. So slows increase the amount of enemies within a trap's triggering volume more often than not, and they also give all of the traps after the slows a bit more time to recharge before the enemies that are slowed reach them. But that's just slows in general. This doesn't specify why viscous tar exists and why you should even think about using viscous tar. And I'm pretty sure that's why you guys wanted this in the first place. Like, why should I use viscous tar over regular tar? Well, we just explained a ton of the benefits of crowd control and slows in general, but we haven't explained what's different about Orcs Must Die Unchained and why you need another tar trap. So let's get to that part now. In the original Orcs Must Die games, you could summon as many traps as you wanted as long as you had the coin. You could get 1 billion coin, you could summon 1 billion coin worth of traps. Such isn't the case in Orcs Must Die Unchained. This is a free-to-play, always online game. And being always online and possibly having a huge boost in players at any given time, you need everybody to have a relatively consistent gameplay experience. And because everything needs to be communicated to the server and then back to the players, especially in a multiplayer situation, you effectively need to make sure that your servers are pretty agile and not overloaded. This is my reasoning behind why the trap count exists. I'm not 100% sure I'm correct there, but I think I'm pretty close. That said, trap count basically becomes the doom of the tar trap, being a trap that is effectively always on but only affects enemies while they're in its area. You need to place a lot of them for its effect to be consistent. And that actually eats up your trap count. So now that it has become the enemy of the trap count, but it's still a trap that a lot of players have historically enjoyed, a compromise was needed to make sure that we had something that would allow us to do the same sort of, you know, enemy condensation slowdown shenanigans. And somebody, bless his soul, came up with the idea of the Viscous tar. So the Viscous tar solves the trap count situation by giving us a slow duration after the enemy steps off of the trap, effectively giving us 2 spaces of trap slow for 1 trap capacity. Now, the way that this was sort of folded into the game is the Viscous tar is more expensive, but that's for another reason too. If you no longer need to spam the trap to make sure that you have the enemy slowed, then you also have the ability to, in between the tar traps, splice in, splice or splash, whichever. I think I tried to combine the words and just failed horribly at it. But you can splash or sprinkle other traps in between the tar. And that's something that you really couldn't do with the regular tar trap beforehand. So now you have this interesting trap sprinkle situation, and I think that's really worth the coin. Generally speaking, there are a lot of traps that sort of have this trade-off where they are more efficient at doing something, in this case slowing the enemies for additional coin versus something that you start out with earlier in the game. So yeah, that's pretty much why Viscous tar exists. Other than that, it is, for the most part, identical to regular tar. They even have the exact same parts loadout, or available trap parts in the workshop. And as far as my particular Viscous tar goes, what I like to do is I will place in 2 siphons, a health siphon and a mana siphon, and on top of that I will place in a stamped parts. Now, a lot of the issues with Viscous tar is mainly going to be the cost, but if you have a stamped parts inside of it, essentially what you get to do is take 20% off the cost. The only other part that would probably be super nice if you placed it in there would be a vanity plating. It'll increase the cost significantly. It goes up 10%, but at the same time, because Viscous tar is never off, every time an enemy steps into its area of effect, it's considered firing. And because vanity plating gets you experience, you can reach really high battle levels really fast by placing XP siphons within those field part locations. And that's actually what I do with my regular tar. So if you ever want to see a really ridiculous smolder, try some XP siphons in a tar trap combined with vanity plating inside of her naphtha sprayers, and you will level faster than Sonic the Hedgehog can run through an entire stage. But yeah, that should basically be it for this video. If there's anything that you guys want specifically covered on Viscous tar, I think that's basically it. I mean, other than just talking about crowd control effects in general, which I think may deserve a bit more time. Things like trigger delay or arming time for traps versus weird descriptions of cooldown rate and refire. There's a lot of things that could probably be clarified here, and of course I am going to be glad to do it for you guys. Either way, that is sort of just a background video of a weekly challenge that took place in the past, so you guys don't really have to worry about that too much. Either way, let me know what else you guys want to see in the future as far as traps and their explanations go, and I will throw up some more stuff here. Either way, thanks for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate it. I'll probably place another poll up sometime soon, so you guys will know which trap will be coming next. And yeah, as always, until next time, have a good one, fool.